Broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon. Happy Wednesday, everyone. Please let me begin by introducing myself. I am Diane Frendak, the Director of Membership Services at the American Astronomical Society, and I'd like to cordially welcome everyone to today's webinar, where you will learn how to optimize your time and experience at virtual meetings. As you know, the AAS winter meeting has gone viral, and it's just around the corner. So we'll have a career center there. It'll be in the exhibit hall. This year, we're focusing on nonprofit and education jobs that are outside of the Academy for Astronomers. You can sign up for confidential career consultations, and we'll have a CV and resume collection, job postings, and career workshops and Q&A sessions at the booth. Now, let's see. I guess the other thing to know for the big meeting coming up, if you're attending, that you should go to our website and check out the tools and resources that are posted here, where you can learn how to log on, how to give your talk, how to set up your iPoster, how to network. So you'll want to go to that tools and resources section on that page. Okay. Before I introduce our speaker, I'm going to review the usual GoToWebinar features and actions. First, everyone in this webinar is in listen-only mode. However, you're encouraged to share your questions by typing them in the questions pane or in the questions area in the control panel. I will collect these questions for the Q&A session at the end of today's presentation. And about 1:30, I will give a nudge to everyone using the chat function just to remind everyone to get their questions in. Please note that this webinar is being recorded and will be posted on the AAS website in the next few days. All right, and now let me introduce our speaker. Alaina G. Levine is a STEM career consultant, science journalist, professional speaker, and corporate comedian. Her book, Networking for Nerds, has the honor of being named the top 5 books of 2015 by Physics Today magazine. She writes Your Unicorn Career, a careers column for the AAAS, and is a frequent speaker for the AAS. And now, without further ado, let me hand the show over to Alaina.
Thank you, Diane. Hello, astronomers, astrophysicists, and cosmologists and planetary scientists around the world, around the galaxy, and around the multiverse. I'm Alaina G. Levine, and I am excited and proud to be with you here today to talk to you about something that I've been thinking a lot about, which is how we can optimize our time and experience at virtual meetings. Of course, for the foreseeable future, at least for the next 6 months and possibly for the next year, all conferences, all scientific and scholarly meetings will be on virtual platforms. So how can we make the most out of these platforms? How can we leverage them to make the connections that we need to succeed, to be innovative, to be creative, and to learn how we can advance and contribute to our field? That's what we're going to be talking about today. And I'm going to be using, of course, the AAS meeting, the 237th winter meeting, which is coming up just next year, and next month. I'm going to be using that as our case study and giving you examples from that meeting so you know how to really have a great time and get the most out of that particular meeting. But the tips and the tactics and the strategies I'm going to be sharing, quite frankly, are applicable to any AAS meeting or any other type of conference that you go to now and in the future. So I hope that it will be helpful to you. As Diane mentioned, this webinar is being recorded and you'll be able to access it later. However, you are welcome to take screenshots of every slide that I use. You're welcome to take a photograph or quote anything that I say and post it on social media. And if you do post anything, I ask that you tag us. Let us promote you. Let us repost what you have to say. So it's at AAS_office, at Alaina G. Levine, hashtag networking for nerds, and also hashtag AAST237. That is the meeting hashtag for the conference that we're going to be discussing today. You should be following that, and I'll be talking more about that in a moment. I also want to invite you, as always, to join me on LinkedIn. I use LinkedIn as the primary way that I share free career planning resources, including articles and tip sheets and templates and invitations to additional webinars. I want to keep you in the know. I want to enable your success. So please join me on LinkedIn. And my LinkedIn URL is just Alaina G. Levine. So since we're going to be spending a lot of time at the meeting doing networking, I wanted to refresh your memory, and for those of you who are new to me, share with you the definition of networking so you know exactly what I'm talking about. Because networking, yes, it begins at the virtual meeting, but it is not the extent of it. And many people think, oh, I went to the conference, I attended the virtual meeting, I spoke to 2 people, I've networked, yay me. And I would agree, yay you, because you are brilliant and talented and amazing. But the networking is the relationship building. So here's what networking is. It's a spectrum of activities, and it aims for a mutually beneficial partnership where we're both providing value to each other over time. In that first point of contact, in that first interaction that we have, which will happen at the virtual meeting, that is the first time that we start the relationship, and that sets the foundation and it sets the tone for the entire partnership. But that is not the totality of the networking. So remember, we're aiming for a long-term relationship with people. So what we're doing at the conference, and this is another slide I encourage you to take a photograph or a screenshot of, because this is actually the strategy for any type of networking. When you are in person, when you're at a virtual meeting, when you're going to have the opportunity to engage with new people, this is the strategy I follow. And as Diane mentioned, I wrote a book called Networking for Nerds. This is the outline for my book. So we always start with the idea that we are trying to build the relationships, we're trying to build win-win relationships, and we recognize that the first conversation or even a few conversations, we are not expecting a tangible benefit from the other party. Absolutely not. Networking is not what can I take from you or how can I manipulate you into giving me a job or a postdoc or a grant. It's the opposite. It's what can I do for you? By having these conversations at the conference, at the meeting, you will start to learn what are the problems that that other party is trying to solve. What are the challenges they're trying to overcome? Where are the gaps in the systems? And you're thinking to yourself, how can you help fill those gaps, help solve the problems, help contribute to their success? And that allows you together in the future to build actual tangible collaborations that lead to discovery, that lead to jobs for both of you, that lead to grants, that lead to opportunities for everyone to build and grow the community. So 6 degrees of separation means that we are connected to every other person, excuse me, on the planet by no more than 6 degrees. So by going to the virtual meeting, by engaging people at the winter meeting in particular, you will have the opportunity to interact. And if you want to meet somebody who works for James Webb and you don't meet somebody at the conference who works for the James Webb telescope, guess what? You can actually find somebody who is, because of 6 degrees of separation. In other words, you will be, excuse me, excuse me, I'm sorry. Excuse me. You will be meeting people at the meeting, at the conference, who are connected to people who work for James Webb and with James Webb. So that helps you to make those connections and actually see how the community is much smaller than you could imagine. We're going to find people to network with, and that's what I'm going to be talking about with you today. We're going to ask for informal conversations or informational interviews. The majority of the networking that you will be doing is not during the meeting. It's not during the conference. It's actually after. We're going to follow up with people, send them thank you notes, stay connected, organize our network, and always ask people if there's a way that you can be of assistance, and also if they know of any other people you should be speaking to. So those are the techniques of the strategy of networking. Now, I want to walk you through elements of the virtual conference ecosystem. And I got to say, you know, I'm a professional speaker, as you know. I speak at lots and lots of conferences. And this year, of course, all of the conferences, all the meetings I've spoken at, I've done so on my bar stool by my kitchen, you know, wearing the half suit. I'll talk about that soon in a moment, and all on virtual conference ecosystems. So I've had a chance to explore and take tours of a number of different ecosystems. Winter meeting 237 for the AAS will be held on a platform called vFairs, V as in Victor, vFairs, or virtual fairs, I should say. And so this system, what I'm showing you now are some photographs, some screenshots of what you can expect to see when you actually attend the conference, attend the meeting. And hashtag spoiler alert for all of you. I want you to not worry. I'm going to give you a lot of guidance, and the website that Diane pointed you to earlier has a lot of tools and resources, even a video that walks you through these things, how to find people, how to talk to people, how to attend the sessions, how to attend the iPosters. There's a lot of lists of how to do things. And I want to let you know that, first of all, the lists of how to do things are actually quite clear. Like, it actually says, click on this, click on that, do this, do that. So I've actually found it to be very intuitive. But the other advantage that you have about the virtual conference ecosystem, particularly the vFairs platform, is that it is very intuitive in and of itself. So for example, take a look at this screen right here that you see in front of you. This is what the what the lobby looks like when you first enter into the vFairs platform, which, Diane, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe it is aas237.vfairs.com. That's what I checked recently. And correct, just tell me if I'm wrong. And so you will go to that site and you will see, once you register and once you log in, this is what you will see. You will see this room. And what will happen is that anytime you click on any of these things, if I click on iPoster Gallery or the Networking Lounge or the Exhibit Hall or the Scientific Oral Sessions, any of those will open up another window, which will then be even more intuitive, because then you can click on those things to go to those events. It is going to be really, really easy. It may seem a little challenging at first, but it's actually quite easy. And so what I wanted to show you with this screen, not only did I want to show you all the different things that you can click on to actually enter into these different types of sessions, but there's a few other resources for you. For example, the AAS Resource Center, you can click on that, or the Live Help Desk, you can click on that, and both of those will actually have people there to answer any questions that you have, whether it's logistical questions, scheduling questions, platform-related questions, even networking questions. So I hope that you will take advantage of those resources.
Alaina?
And there's, yes, please, Diane.
I know that the lobby will be a little bit different for 237, but it's going to look sort of the same. And you did have that website, correct?
Okay, good. Thank you very much. And I did realize that this link or this photograph does still have the 236 meeting, which was this summer. But I'm glad you pointed that out, Diane. It's pretty much going to be similar type of situation where there will be obvious places that you can click, and that will open up to a new section, right? Or a new place where you could go to attend events. Is that right?
Yes, and Debbie says that it's going to look more like a convention center, so the lobby is going to look a little bit different.
Excellent, excellent. And I've seen vFair platforms for virtual meetings that do look like a convention hall, and it's just so nice to actually have that familiarity. Like, it's not just like a DOS machine. It's actually quite interesting. So if I were to click on the oral and scientific sessions, this is what I would find. I would find this screen here. It would look like this big auditorium, and then I could click again to join the sessions, and it would actually give me a list of whatever sessions were live at that moment that I could attend. So it's actually quite interesting and easy to use. The virtual lounge is another nice feature at this conference and at many other virtual conferences. In fact, almost every virtual meeting I've attended in the last 6 months has had a version of this, some sort of virtual lounge or a networking lounge. In other conferences, you might find student lounges or leaders lounge or things like that. So this is the same, it's all the same type of thing. And so, and I see questions are coming in, and I'm so excited. I'm going to take a question from E in a moment. So let me just share with you a little bit about these last two screens, and then I'll take that question. Put your questions in the Q&A. I'm taking them live in real time, IRT, in IRL as well, perhaps even throughout the entire webinar. So here in the virtual lounge, what's really nice about this is that it gives you access immediately to the Twitter feed, which you should be paying attention to, AAS_office. It gives you access to the YouTube channel for AAS so that you can easily see videos, including a video that will actually walk you through all of these different elements, and also I think even these webinars, and of course the Facebook page for the organization too. Now, at this conference, the major way that you're going to network, the major way that you're going to start conversations with people, there's going to be two ways, and the major way is going to be using Slack. I will give you details about that in a moment. But what's really nice with this virtual lounge, and this is a great example of the intuitive nature of this event, is that here I am in the virtual lounge. I want to meet other people. I want to meet Debbie. I want to meet Diane. I want to meet you. And so I can click on chat with us on Slack. It'll open up a Slack window, I believe, and then I can toggle back and forth, and I can have conversations with people who are in that Slack channel in the virtual lounge right then and there. I'm going to tell you how you speak to people. I'm going to tell you what to say to people so that you have an easy and simple and very confident boosting event. So the next thing I wanted to show you is another interesting slide is this other screen, which is what you might, a version of what you might look like, might see something like this. And this is a video that you can actually see. I pulled this right off of the AAS's website, and it shows you how the different exhibitors in the exhibit hall will be presenting. So there will be a career center that's going to be a booth in the exhibit hall. There will be a AAS booth that will be in the exhibit hall. There will be Sky and Telescope magazine. Here's an example of what their booth might look like. And so with any of these booths, when you enter into the exhibit hall by clicking on the exhibit hall, you can engage with different aspects of the booth. So anything there is clickable. So for example, I can click on that, enter to win, and I could enter myself here. I could enter on the Australian astronomy tour and get more information about that. In addition to all those clickable links that are visually available to you, at the bottom, you will most likely also see a list of other types of ways that you can engage the people at the booth. So there might be links to jobs that they're advertising, or products that they're trying to promote, or special sessions that they're going to be having. There could be materials that you could potentially even download. So there's a lot of resources that the booth itself will be providing. In addition, you will have the opportunity when you visit every single booth to chat with the people who are attending the booth, or I should say, who are going to be present and working at that booth. I will talk to you more about that in a few moments, but I got to say that networking at exhibit halls is one of the best ways that introverts and new networkers, so people who are nerds, just like you and I'm a nerd myself, as you can see by my glasses. This is my street cred right here. If you are shy, if you're an introvert, if you're not sure how to start a conversation with somebody and you want to get practice with networking to boost your confidence and also boost your communication skills and practice with it, you can actually go to the exhibit halls, the virtual exhibit halls, click on the, for example, Sky and Telescope booth, and there will open up a chat window, and there will be a real human being, not a bot, not a clone, not somebody from another dimension, but a real human, not humanoid, but human creature who will be there to talk to you. And guess what? They will be fueling the conversation. That's what I love about networking at exhibit halls, is that they are there specifically to start and end and communicate and fuel the conversation. So you can have them start the conversation. And it's such a wonderful way for you to actually see how you can actually network and how it can be more comfortable and more confidence boosting for you. So I want to take your questions, and I see we already have one question. It was already answered, Diane? It looks like the question was already answered.
No, I think it hasn't, if it's from E.
Yes, E. So E says, you were alluding to my favorite part of in-person conferences, the ability to meet and connect with experts serendipitously that you encounter. How can you facilitate this networking strategy, this impromptu networking strategy, when you cannot see or otherwise grab the attention of potential new connections? So E, thank you very much. And E, I believe you and I know each other. So E, I hope I'll see you at this conference. E, I appreciate that question. It's a timely question, particularly right now in the webinar where we are in the conversation today. So the thing about networking at a virtual meeting is that the much of the networking is actually going to have to be very proactive on your part. So yes, we're not going to have the typical scenario where I might be sitting down to have a cup of coffee right outside the exhibit hall on a bench, and I start a conversation with you. Oh, have you attended this meeting before? Oh, which sessions have you been attending? Or simply just saying, hi, I'm Alaina Levine. It will require activity and strategy on your part to actually make those connections. So what I have been doing myself is I've actually been pushing myself out of my own comfort level, getting a little discomfortable and creating new words too, but engaging with a little bit of discomfort in my behavior so that I can actually feel more strong and actually boost my confidence in doing this type of proactive networking. So what I wanted to tell you about right now, and this is why this was a good time for you to ask this question, is what's new in the conference environment? The networking has to be more proactive. So you actually have to search for people and find people to start a conversation with. You have to actively reach out and chat with somebody in a session. Again, I'm going to walk you through how to do this throughout the session, the conference. You have to go to the exhibit hall and click on the chat and say hello and have the Sky and Telescope representative start talking with you and you engage them in the conversation. But what this does for you is it gives you access to people that you might not have ever had the chance to interact with, and it also gives you a reason to have a conversation. So it actually will help to fuel the conversation. And in some ways, I think that that's actually, in a certain way, even better than the impromptu serendipitous networking that we might have, like, for example, in the press room or even just sitting next to somebody in the session. But there are ways to sort of mirror or recreate the serendipitous networking, and that I will talk about in just a few moments. So keep those questions coming, guys and gals. Thank you so much for that question. I'll monitor the questions, by the way. So what else? Let me just tell you what hasn't changed in terms of rules of networking at virtual meetings. The conference itself is still about networking. It is still about finding new collaborators, learning about innovations and discovery in your field, learning about other fields. It's about gaining insight to enable your success. And the conference itself serves as a networking node. What I mean by that, I use that term to refer to anything that aggregates people to in a certain location or a certain space and time. In this case, the meeting is aggregating people in a space and time. Well, maybe not a space, a virtual space, and certainly at the same time. And that actually can help to facilitate relationship building. It also is an opportunity for you to connect with people who are not in your field, whether they are attending or not. So that's a really important thing to know, because, or whether you know they're attending or not, because you can always go through, and this is something AAS is offering, you can actually go through the list of attendees, and as long as attendees have opted in to have themselves listed, and I encourage you all to opt in to make sure that you are listed in the attendee list, you can go and do searches of the attendee list to see, is there somebody here from James Webb? Is there somebody here from Sky and Telescope? Is there somebody here from this organization or in this field or even from this region of the world? And even if you don't find somebody from that exact organization, university, or company, you can still make connections, which, because of 6 degrees of separation, can help you to connect with people in those other realms. So what's new here? As I said, it's going to be more proactive, but the networking itself has also expanded. I really think that there's more opportunities to connect with more people. And I want to give you an example of something that happened to me about a month ago at a conference I attended. As you know, I'm a science writer, and I was attending the Science Writers Conference. And I love that conference, and I don't get a chance to go every year, but this year I absolutely went because it was virtual. I would not have been able to go if I had to travel. I just did not have the time. But this time, I had the time, I had the space, I had the opportunity, which is why virtual meetings are so great. I predict that almost every virtual meeting for the next year will have a higher attendance rate, registration rate than any other in-person meetings that we've had experience with in the past. And I believe with the Science Writers meeting, there were way more people that attended because, of course, they don't have to travel. There's no cost in terms of time and money. And so what happened was I attended a session where we got to rotate between tables. And what it looked like on the screen was, it looked like I was looking at a map of a big exhibit hall with lots of round tables. It even showed the seats around the round tables. And it would tell me which editors were sitting at those round tables. And we're going to do a version of that, by the way, at the AAS meeting in the Career Center, in the Career booth. We're going to have an opportunity for you to interact with and move between tables, quote unquote tables, to interact with people from different careers. I'll talk about that when I talk more about the Career Center in a moment. But anyway, so that's what we had. So I saw that the editor of Magazine X was at that booth, at that table. And I just moved in this case, I had to move my little avatar over to that table. But in this case, there wasn't a seat available at that table. So instead, I moved over to an empty table, and somebody else joined me at the empty table. And suddenly what I saw was my screen. I was allowed to show my camera. That person showed their camera. And I said, hi, I'm Alaina. What do you do? And if we were sitting at a table in real life, in real time and space, I don't know if I necessarily would have said to somebody, hey, I'm Alaina, what do you do? But because suddenly they popped up on my screen, I almost felt compelled to do it, but in a really good way, in a very positive way. So I did, and then I started a conversation with that person, and then they migrated away, and I migrated away, and then I migrated to a table, talked with an editor, talked with a couple of other people, and in fact, at that table, I believe at one point I said to somebody, oh, I know you, can we step off to the side? And we did, and we started a conversation privately, again, in the same way, by stepping to a private table. This type of thing, I think, is really, really positive. It can actually help to really facilitate good networking. Things that people I wouldn't have networked with, or even the way I wouldn't have started the conversation with the person, I don't think I would have actually had that if I was in person. So the interaction at the conference, though, is going to be significantly less than the interaction that follows. So this is an important thing to think about, is that much of the relationship building, as I mentioned, does not have to happen at the actual meeting. And in fact, for several of the people at that Science Writers Conference that I attended, I found people by just doing a quick search. For example, I did a quick search of the attendees of that meeting to find people who live in Arizona or in the Southwest where I live. And I found a few people. I messaged them through the app. In this case, you'll be messaging through Slack. I'll walk you through that momentarily. And I was able to immediately start a conversation, but I said, I'd love to learn more about what you're working on. Can we set up a Zoom meeting in the next few weeks after the conference is over? And we did, and we had a good meeting. And that started the conversation, and that will start the relationship growing. So that's the kind of thing that we're thinking about. And I see we have a number of questions coming in. You guys are amazing. I'm going to try and take as many as I can as I'm migrating through, and I'll stick around for a few minutes afterwards to take others. Let me finish these slides, and then I'll take another quick question, a couple of questions from you. The conversations will start with texts. So there's two ways that you will be chatting, that you will be having conversations at the AAS meeting. The first is the chat function in vFairs. So that you will see when you will, actually there's three. One is the chat function in vFairs, which you will see, like, for example, at the exhibit hall, when you click on the Sky and Telescope booth, again, to use that as an example, a chat window will open and you'll be able to talk to people. And Diane, by the way, if I'm getting any of these ideas confused, please interrupt me, because I do want to make sure that I'm delivering information that is correct and useful to the audience.
Sure.
The second way to converse with people is through Slack. So there will be Slack channels for every session, every iPoster session, every prize talk, and as well as Slack channels for the Career Center, Slack channels for the exhibitors, Slack channels for the larger meeting itself, Slack channels for the town halls. There will be a lot of opportunity for you to actually have conversations. So if you're not familiar with Slack, I am a new user myself. I just started using it 2 months ago. I found it to be incredibly intuitive, incredibly easy to use. So download it now, put it on your phone and your device so that you can get used to it. And then you will be, in December, later this month, you will be getting an email. If you have registered for the AAS conference, you will get an email about how to join the Slack channels that the AAS has set up specifically for this meeting. So we will have facilitators. We will have people who are there able to help you. And if you have any questions, you can stop in at the visitor center or whatever I think it's the Q&A center or the help desk or the AAS booth or the Career Center booth on the exhibit hall floor. What I really also like, and this is a new rule for virtual conferences, is the way you dress. So one of the things that I've really appreciated about the AAS community, and this is something, and I go to many different, and I'm engaged with many different associations, in particular STEM associations around the world. And I have to say that the AAS, the American Astronomical Society, has the most inclusive and also the most authentic sense about it with its members in terms of how members like to express their personality, particularly at the meetings. So I see people with beautiful blue and purple hair, and I see people wearing their beautiful galactic inspired jewelry and shirts and ties and hair bows and dresses and tights, really just extraordinary, amazingly fashion forward. And of course, there's always the wonderful booth at the conference. Diane, correct me if I'm wrong, is it the Satorist that sells the wonderful science and astronomy related fashions and jewelry and notebooks and things like that?
That's correct. It's Startorialist. I think they might be in our exhibit hall, and you can always buy their products at startorialist.com. Not that this is a commercial.
No, but I mean, that's a great example of like, I suspect that they probably will be there and they can answer questions for you. So bottom line, I go to this conference and I am just amazed and just so appreciative that the community is so welcoming, that everyone feels that they can be their authentic self 100% of the time, and that's expressed through their fashion choices and their jewelry choices and so forth. And of course, we will miss a little bit of that at the virtual meeting, but I can guarantee that you will see people in the on screen with their beautiful outfits, with their beautiful blue hair, with their beautiful galactic tight shirts and things. But what's really, really nice, honestly, this is a benefit of attending a virtual meeting, is the half suit. And I'm trying to get this trending, hashtag half suit. I love the concept of the half suit, right? I wear only what the camera sees. So as long as the camera sees it, you will see something polished and professional and something obviously reflective of who I am as a person, as Alaina. But half suit, I wear my pajama bottoms, I wear my Crocs. I love that I can attend a conference wearing my Crocs, and I don't have to necessarily wear what I normally would wear to a conference, which is my Converse All-Stars and my Spanx. So none of that anymore. So let me take a look and see what questions we have so I can answer any questions you have. We got so many great questions. And S, you asked about E. Yes, I do know E. And in fact, I was specifically thinking of E's amazing, amazing, amazing outfits. I always look forward to your outfits, E. I'm not going to reference people specifically with their first name unless they give me permission. So I hope that's okay. So we have a question from M. And M asks about a particular, this person is part of the Austin Astronomical Society. We're having an annual holiday party in virtual mode. We have been okay at the, excuse me, I'm just gonna take off my glasses so I can read it because I'm super old. We have been okay at the usual passive meetings via Zoom, but this will be a new challenge. So on that basis, thank you, Alaina, for helping me to make this more enjoyable for my friends. Oh, that was just a nice thing to say. Oh, thank you so much, Em. I appreciate that. Let me just see if there's any other additional questions. So R has a question. R is a new amateur affiliate member. R, welcome to the community. I'm so glad that you're here. And R asks, what advice do you have for my fellow amateur affiliate members as we work during the conference to create an amateur affiliate network within the larger body of the AAS? Oh my God, R, I cannot thank you for that great question. I'm so excited to welcome amateur members. And I really think it's just amazing that, again, the AAS has the opportunity for amateur members to be a part. So this is how I would do this. First of all, you can probably, and Diane, tell me if this is right, in the search function for the attendees, can they search based on membership level or location or career title or job title or location or organization? Can they do dedicated searches like that?
I don't know. Well, I know that when you sign into VFairs, you can kind of create a profile. And I think that you could put that in there. But I don't know if you can search it, but if you see different people, I think you can like ask them what they do. Also, on the AAS website, if you're already registered for the meeting, there is a roster and it has institutions. So if you see someone from the Austin Astronomical Club, you can, find out who that person is and then try to find them at the meeting.
The other thing that you can do, and this is great for R's question about the amateur members, but honestly, it's useful for all of us attending this meeting and others, is follow the Twitter feed and the Twitter handle for the event, for the conference. And you know what? You can create your own networking event, your own virtual networking mixer on Zoom or whatever, even on Twitter, a tweet up, to bring together, to aggregate and welcome other amateur members or members who are interested in speaking with amateur members. And in fact, I would encourage you to do this. I always tell people, why not create our own networking events for ourselves? You can do this, and you can easily do this on virtual platforms. But what's really fantastic about the virtual meeting environment that allows you to do this more easily than even if you were doing it in person is that, again, you don't have to go anywhere. You can just post it on Twitter. Is anybody interested? Are you interested in networking with other amateur members? Meet up here. Meet me on Twitter at 7 p.m. Eastern time, and let's talk. Or here's a Zoom link. And there's ways that you can actually develop an event, a virtual event, and promote it on Twitter. And I imagine that one of the things that we typically have at conferences is all sorts of different networking events, different aspects or different organizations within the associations will have their own in-person events. And I suspect that you will, in the coming weeks, in the next month, before the meeting, you will be hearing about a lot of these different organizations, mini organizations within the context of AAS, announcing that they will be having events, not to mention virtual events, not to mention individuals like yourself who are excited to bring together members who have the same interests. So do not hesitate to create your own networking event. It is a wonderful way for you to network. It boosts your confidence, but honestly, you then would be running the event, and that gives you the ability to be more empowered as you're conversing with people, and people will remember that you took that initiative to help the community. So wonderful idea, and I appreciate you bringing that up. I'm going to continue on, and I will take more questions as we migrate forward in time. And again, keep them coming, you guys. I'm really appreciative of this. So to develop your plan, it's very similar to what we would do if we were going to an in-person meeting. I'm going to read through the program very carefully. I'm going to read through the exhibit guide. I'm going to start making my schedule for myself, including the scientific talks, the posters. I want to make sure that I identify and attend special events. So I'm going to be putting on my list of things to do career events. So AAS is having, I think, something like 15 or more different workshops. They are career related. I'm going to be giving a whole bunch of them. These career workshops are going to be everything from how to manage and navigate with imposter syndrome, how to say yes, how to say no to projects, how to evaluate a job offer, how to network, all sorts of, how to write a cover letter. We're going to go through all these things. My colleagues are doing career workshops on all sorts of different software tools and platforms that you can use, how to be more involved in data science. There's all sorts of different technical tools and technical skill sets that you will be able to learn at this meeting. So make sure that you put that on your agenda and plan to attend those, as well as networking events. And one of my favorite events for networking and for engaging with the members of my community, and in particular at the AAS meeting, and can I get a shout out? You can put it in the Q&A. How many people absolutely love open mic night? Can I get a yas? How many people love open mic night? Yas, I love it. And you can actually volunteer to be part of the open mic night, to tell a joke, to sing a song, to play an instrument, to tell a story. We had last year, or at the conference this year at the winter meeting, we had somebody doing a rap, which was absolutely amazing. We had this person sing, I believe she was singing in Spanish, absolutely beautiful song, beautiful voice. It's just really amazing, the talent in this community. I want you to consider sharing that talent. It's also a great way to start a conversation. So I hope you will join me. I'll be at the open mic night, and you can interact with people there too. But the other thing that's really unique to the AAS that I want to encourage you, particularly amateur members, particularly early career student members, people who are early in your postdoc or haven't even finished the postdoc yet, or are just early in their career, just beyond the postdoc or their degree, is the town halls. The town halls are opportunities for the leaders of the missions, of the telescopes, of the different major organizations that serve and collaborate with the astronomical community worldwide. They give a talk, and it's very interactive. They are giving an update on where, for example, how is the James Webb Telescope coming along? How is the Hubble Telescope moving along? How are we doing with this? What's the strategic plan? How are we moving with that? The great thing about town halls is that, first of all, you get a chance to learn about the cutting edge issues in that division or in that area of astronomy, in that area that you are interested in going into, you get a chance to see who the leaders are, who the decision makers are. So you can actually identify them. You can interact with people at the town hall itself. You can ask questions at the town hall through Zoom. I'm going to talk to you about that in a moment. And another really nice thing about the town hall is, let's say you see the head of James Webb, the James Webb Telescope, giving a presentation talking about what it is for what we're going to be doing in the next year, or how the pandemic has changed, how we're approaching the scientific discovery or the scientific mission, how it's changed our delivery date and so forth. If you are still shy and you don't feel like you don't feel comfortable yet setting up a chat or chatting with that director of the James Webb Space Telescope at that moment, now you've seen them speak. So you could actually now go, at this point, go through the registration list, find them and send them a chat, a private message, a DM through the VFairs platform and say, I saw you speak about James Webb. I'm a student. I'm an amateur astronomer. I'm a this, I'm a that. I'm interested in learning more. Could I possibly speak with you? Could I possibly meet with you for 15 minutes in the next, I don't know, month or so to learn more about what I can do to position myself to be successful if I wanted to work with the James Webb Space Telescope. So use that opportunity that is being created by the town hall leaders who are there to start conversations with people now or later. Really, really great thing. The exhibit hall, as I mentioned, is really powerful, as is the career booth that we're going to be at. And of course, this year, there's going to be a grad school fair. Please plan to attend that. So in developing your plan, take a look at the AAS's website, because they have, like I said, lots of how-to lists, and then write an agenda for yourself. And please, please, please do me a solid and include breaks in your day. Okay, I know the impetus is, wow, I want to attend every single event all the time. I want to go from 6 o'clock in the morning to like 10 o'clock at night. But we all know what Zoom fatigue is, and it's going to really set in. So give yourself the breaks. And Diane, I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to finish this point, but Diane, tell me if this is right. That all of the talks will be recorded, and that anybody who is registered will be able to attend or view those talks at a later time. They'll be on the platform for a while after the conference. Is that going to be the case with this meeting?
I believe so. It happened at the summer meeting. It might take a little bit longer since we have 5 days full of science content, but eventually everything will be available online and open for registration view.
Fantastic. Now that is another amazing, amazing benefit of attending a virtual meeting. For example, that Science Writers Conference that I mentioned to you, I only attended about, I think, 2 talks total. But I'm a registered attendee. All of those talks are going to stay on the platform for me to watch, I think, until the end of March. So I actually put it in my schedule to watch it during the holiday week. But this is something that you can take advantage of too. And E just sent me another great question. E, my favorite fashion-forward nerd, writes, does the system enable us to be in multiple locations at once? Will we be able to, for example, attend a town hall, a plenary talk, and a chat room simultaneously? And I don't think that that's possible. Diane, correct me if I'm wrong. I think that you can only be in one place, although I wonder if you opened it on your computer and then opened it on your tablet and then opened it on your phone, could you attend multiple things at the same time in the same account? Do you know, Diane?
That, I don't think that you can be in 2 different Zooms at the same time, but if you wanted to be in a talk through Zoom, you could do that and then have Slack open and do some other chat in a different Slack channel at the same time.
That's a good point. I mean, so Slack, although it's connected with the virtual platform, with the VFairs platform, it is its own platform. And somebody also asked, do we have to have a Slack account? And yes, you will have to sign up with Slack, but it's free. And then, like I said, you will be getting an email telling you exactly how to access the different Slack channels, and you'll even get invitations to participate in those. So in addition to listing out, you're going to take some more questions. In addition to listing out for yourself your schedule, put in that you're going to be attending exhibitors, put in that you want to, that there are certain talks that you, or posters that you want to attend specifically to talk to the person. And if you can, one of the things I like to do is I will actually contact people in advance. So this is something also that, for example, introverts and fellow nerds, it really helps me to feel stronger when I go into a virtual conference or even an in-person conference to already have lined up meetings with people. So if I saw that E was going to be speaking about, for example, science writing, and I was really interested in hearing him, I would go to his session. But before I went to a session, I might actually send you a message through the platform and say, "Dear E, I really appreciate your work in science communications. I'm looking forward to hearing you talk. I wanted to see, is it possible after the meeting, could we set up a 15-minute Skype, Zoom, phone, WhatsApp, whatever appointment? I'd like to learn more about what you're working on. Maybe there's a way that we can collaborate. And I'm early in my career. I'd like to learn how I can position myself for success in science communications." So then I'm sure E, because you're so gracious, you would say, sure, we'd set up that appointment for after the meeting, but then I'd see you at the meeting, right? I'd come to your talk and then I'd go up to you by chatting with you in the Zoom function when you're speaking, and I'd say, "Hi E, it's Alaina. I'm looking forward to speaking with you next week. I have a question about your talk." And suddenly we've created another connection. See, a lot of what networking is about creating connections between you and I, implanting ideas in our brain about how we can potentially collaborate and add value to each other's projects, each other's domains, each other's activities. And so the more interactions, the more touch points that we have with each other, the more you're going to remember me, and the more you're likely to assist me, and the more I'm going to assist you. So it's a really, really wonderful thing to set up those appointments in advance. So here's my call to action to all of you. I encourage you to do this. This is your homework assignment. Today, not tomorrow, literally today, I want you to take a look at the scientific program, and I want you to pick 5 talks or 5 people that are going to be speaking, just 5. You could do more if you want, but here's my homework assignment. Pick 5 and actually send a message through the app, through the vFairs platform to that person. Or you could send them an email, because you can easily find their information in the AAS directory as a member. And let them know you're going to be coming to their talk. You're really interested to hear what they have to say. Let them know a little bit about yourself, and then ask them for that 15-minute informal conversation following the meeting. And then you will feel so much better when you go up to them at the actual meeting. It's going to be very, very helpful to you. So the other thing I want to remind you of is that because the Career Center is going to be so enriching, and there's going to be so many opportunities to advance your career at the Career Center, make sure that you do upload your resume or your CV into the resume CV collection that is available. And you can get information about that also on the website for the conference. So what do we bring? I'm going to bring a glass of water. I'm going to bring my coffee. I'm going to bring my cupcake because I'm really happy. I'm going to bring a positive attitude because I cannot wait to network with amazing nerds and geeks in the astronomical community. I'm going to bring my resume or CV on my device so that in case we decide, you and I decide to have a DM and privately chat on Slack, I can actually send it to you immediately in Slack. I'm going to have a strong internet connection, and then of course you're also going to have an additional cupcake available for me, which you will have to somehow get to me in a non-virtual platform. You're going to engage on social media, so if there is a conference app, you'll be using that. That'll be your best friend forever or bestie. Right now for this, there's not an app, but it'll be the website. As I mentioned, follow the Twitter feed, contribute to it, use the Facebook page, use the LinkedIn page to your benefit. So there are a number of different touch points to find people to contact, network with. TLDR, they're everywhere. But more specifically, the plenary sessions and the prize presentations, go to those sessions. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Alaina, this all sounds great. I know you're thinking, this sounds great. I'd love to be able to network with all these people, but I can't go up to somebody I can't chat with somebody who's giving a plenary or who won a prize for the AAS. They're like a Dr. God. I call the Nobel laureates and the leaders of our field Dr. Gods, because essentially the field orbits around them, right? And so I can't go up to them. What? I'm just a student. I'm just a postdoc. I'm just this. I'm just that. No, you're not just. You are all that. You are all that and more. And they are there specifically to network themselves. Dr. Gods want to network with everybody. They want to network with people who are early in their career because there is value that you can provide. And if you're not sure about that, I want to give you a resource. And Diane, if you can quickly find this this link and put it in the chat or put it in the Q&A. It's an article I wrote called Networking with Dr. God. And it talks about why Dr. God's Nobel laureates, the leaders, the executive directors, the CEOs, the heads of the missions and the telescopes and the observatories, why they want to talk to you, even though you are early in your career. There was a lot of networking riches to be had. So you're saying to yourself, I can't go up to Dr. God. They're giving a talk. They're giving a plenary. Why would I talk to them? Why would they want to talk to me? What would we talk about? Well, you know what? They're there. So you can say, hi, Dr. God. Don't call them Dr. God. They'll call them by their real name. Hi, Dr. God. I really enjoyed your talk. I'm a student at the University of Arizona studying active galactic nuclei. I'm a postdoc at the University of Iowa studying gamma ray bursts. I really appreciated what you had to say about X. Have you ever utilized technique Y in looking at X? So you can ask them a question right then and there. And you can also say, I really would love to follow up with you. Do you mind if I email you? And I guarantee, 120% guarantee from Alaina G. Levine to you, they will not say no. They will absolutely 100% of the time, 100% say, yes, I would be happy to follow up with you. And then you have an opening right then and there. So engage in the scientific sessions, look for people who are presenting at the iPosters. That's a really wonderful thing to meet, where you can meet people and also gain the practice and networking, the workshops, the town halls, the exhibit hall. For those of us that are in science communication, I know there's a few other people who are also on this session today. I haven't heard whether or not there's going to be a virtual press room. Diane, Debbie, if you happen to know that, if you could let me know.
Yes, there is a press room, I think, or what? Yeah, actually it is, and it's sponsored by USRA.
Okay, awesome. So so you can take a look at that. And Debbie just wrote, and Debbie Kowalski, by the way, is the unbelievably, talk about a Dr. God. Debbie is the Dr. God of meeting professionals. So Debbie is the person who manages and runs and leads all of the AAS meetings. And she wanted me to remind you that you can create a profile once you actually log in, which you can include your photo, links to your CV, your social media, and other information. So it's very, very useful. Take a look at that. Somebody asked, Dee asked, contact them in advance, meaning on Slack or another method. So Dee, I want to tell you that, so when I say contact them in advance, what I mean is, so you see that Dr. God is giving a talk. They're giving a plenary talk. So then I can actually look through the list of attendees, where I can then see Dr. God's profile, and I can see Dr. God's email address, and then I can email Dr. God right then and there. If I don't see his or her email address in their profile, I can look for them on Google, I can look for them on LinkedIn, and more relevantly, I can look for them in the AAS directory, and I can get their contact information then and email them then. I could also connect with them, I could also send them a message through Slack in advance. But because Slack, we're sort of like migrating towards using that and making it more user-friendly and more effective, particularly people who are new to Slack, they may not actually start using Slack until the day of. So I wouldn't necessarily be able to find everybody that I want to talk to on Slack in advance. But in advance, I will absolutely see the names, and I will absolutely be able to either connect with them through the platform of the organization, through the vFairs platform, or through the membership directory to get their email address. So I hope that's helpful to you. And by the way, I want to ask Dee, who asked me that question. Dee, I know somebody who has the same last name as you, who was a professor at the University of Arizona in particle physics, and I'd love to know if that is somebody who you are related to. Just let me know privately. Okay, so, all right, not related. Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. So the networking lounge, there's often a networking lounge. There's the networking and social hours before, after, all these different places. So who do you network with? All attendees, although you, like I said, you do have to opt in, the iPoster presenters, all the speakers, all the attendees, all the exhibitors, the grad school recruiters, because there's going to be a big grad school fair, the career booth attendees, the attendees at the social and networking events, and all of the AAS members and leaders. So this is another tip for you, another tactic that I use for conferences. I will often look to see if, let's say I'm really interested in meeting with Dr. S. And I look to see if Dr. S is speaking. And I don't see that Dr. S is speaking, but Dr. S happens to be an expert in active galactic nuclei. So even though Dr. S is not speaking, I can use the conference as the way to connect. So in other words, this is what I would do. I would get Dr. S's contact information from the AAS membership directory, and I would email her, and I would say, dear Dr. S, I am very interested in active galactic nuclei. This is one of the things I want to pursue. I wondered, will you be attending this conference? If you are, I'd love to maybe have a DM with you or connect with you there, or I'd love to actually follow up and chat with you following the conference. Is that possible? So in other words, as I mentioned earlier, using the conference or leveraging the conference as a networking node, well, this is the kind of thing that I'm talking about. The conference itself serves as a way to bring people together and as a means to fuel a reason why you actually might talk to somebody. So let's continue on. And I'm getting so many more questions. I am going to stick around until we're a little bit after we're finished so that I can answer additional questions. So how do you actually connect? And again, Diane and Debbie, correct me if I'm wrong, and please give me additional information that I can share with people so that I am giving the full story. So throughout the meeting, you can send private messages through the vFairs platform and through Slack. You can review the rosters and search, review the attendance rosters, as I mentioned, and search for people. You absolutely have to opt in to share your information. So please do this. You're doing yourself a huge service by doing this. And like I said, you can also search registered attendees, not just in vFairs, but in Slack, and then send them a DM at that moment or later on. During the talks, so when you are attending the talks, you will have, all talks will be delivered via Zoom. So you will be able to ask questions through Zoom Q&A, and the moderator of each session, whether it's a plenary, an oral, an iPoster, and so forth, that moderator will actually be monitoring the questions. They'll read the questions, and each session itself will also have its own Slack channel, also monitored by a moderator. So again, it may sound a little complicated right now, but I want to assure you that you can that this will be very intuitive once you get started in the system. So I hope that's helpful to you. Okay. Somebody asked a good question here. Let me take a look at this question. The other thing I want you to know, Debbie pointed this out. Debbie, thank you so much for your help with this. Every exhibitor has their own Zoom room where you can enter and have an informal conversation with the booth staff face-to-face. And I encourage you to actually take a part of that so that you can get used to having these types of conversations. In fact, show your face. Don't just do it with the microphone, but actually unmute your camera so that you can actually get used to having a conversation with somebody and also see how easy and simple it is. So what do you actually say? What do you actually discuss with the exhibitors? What do you say with the speakers? What do you say with people when you're DMing them? What do you say to people on Slack? Where are you from? What do you do? What did you study? Oh, you study active galactic nuclei? Is that what you got your PhD in? Oh, you're a postdoc working on statistical methods in X and Y? How did you do that? How did you get interested in that? Oh, are you presenting on this topic? At this conference, what topic are you speaking on? It's okay if you don't know who they are. Don't assume that you will be embarrassing yourself or that there's something wrong with you if you don't know who this particular person is or what their background is. You're not expected to know that about everyone. And the leaders in the field do not expect everyone to know who they are or to know the extent of their knowledge or their value or their expertise. That's what this meeting is all about. It's about asking these types of questions. So you can also say, how did you get interested in this? What are some of the hot topics? Oh, you're doing gamma ray births. What are some of the hot topics associated with gamma ray births? Maybe you were in a session, you could say, what did you think of the speaker? I really enjoyed what she had to say about using statistical tools to look at X. Have you ever used these types of statistical tools? I see we have a statistician in the audience today, so I wanted to give you a shout out. And then what do you do afterwards? What do you do during and after? Like I said, you always ask for a follow-up appointment to explore the potential to collaborate, to learn about what you're working on, to see if I can assist, to discuss what you talked about. I really want to learn more about what you said about X and X+1, learn what skills I can hone or learn right now early in my career so I can position myself for success in this field. learn more about this career path because I am early in my career explorations, and make sure you connect with them on LinkedIn as well so that you have that alliance built up. So the important points that I wanted to make to you, and then like I said, I'm going to stick around for any additional questions that you might have, is that the way you meet has changed with virtual meetings, but the way you meet has not changed with virtual meetings. And what do I mean by that? We're still trying to build networking alliances. We're still trying to gather as much data about the field as we possibly can to understand how we could potentially contribute to the field, how our skill set and abilities and knowledge and passion would be an asset, would be able to help solve people's problems. After all, remember, the job search process is not about what you, the job seeker, can get from me, the decision maker. It's the opposite. It's about what you can do for me. It's the value you provide, the problems you solve, the skills you use to move my agenda forward. And it's the same thing with networking. It's all about mutually beneficial partnerships. So yes, we're not meeting in face to face. I'm not physically in your space, but the meeting itself still serves as the mechanism to aggregate all of the astronomy, astrophysics, cosmology, and planetary science nerds and geeks together so that you have a way to start conversing with people and you have something to talk about. Wasn't this talk interesting? I appreciated your poster when you discussed X. I appreciated what you said in the town hall. I have a question about what you said about using certain types of software carpentry for this type of astronomical application. Anytime you are direct messaging, messaging in Slack, asking a question in Zoom, messaging somebody through the vFairs platform, you do not have to deliver a dissertation. You can use the questions that I just described to you to start the conversation. That's it. Because much of the conversation, as I mentioned, will take place later. But definitely use your the social media, and also remember that because this is an experiment, and it is an experiment. There will be bugs, but there will be people there to assist you. Debbie and Diane and their entire team is going to be there to assist you in real time to help you with any questions you have. And you can always email meetings@aas.org with any questions or concerns or troubleshooting issues you have. And they're going to be there manning that, womaning that to make sure to answer your questions in real time. But because this is an experiment, there will be bugs. Not only will there be bugs on the side of the platform itself and the conference itself, but there also will be mistakes that you and I make. But guess what? There's literally absolutely nothing that you can do to mess this up. I mean, maybe one thing, like if you started cursing me out as soon as you met me, that might be inappropriate. Yeah, don't do that. But other than that, there's literally, and I do mean that literally, there's literally nothing that you can do to mess this up. If you're not sure what to say, just say, I really enjoyed your talk. Could I speak with you further at another time about X? If you're not sure what to discuss with the exhibitor, you can say, can you tell me about your organization? Can you tell me about your company? If you're not sure what to say to the grad school recruiter, you can say, can you tell me about the strengths of your program? What subfields does your department focus on? You're not expected to know that. They're there to market themselves. You're there to learn. And I think the most important thing I would say, now that you know that there's nothing you can do to mess this up, is to enjoy it. Enjoy your networking time. Understand this is always a privilege and an honor to interact with people who are like-minded spirits, and this is an opportunity of a lifetime, particularly to attend a conference that is virtual. No money, less time, more flexibility, more people to network with. Enjoy yourself. Always remember to enjoy yourself. Before I leave you today and answer additional questions, I want to remind you that if you would like to enjoy yourself with me by having a one-on-one career consultation where you meet with me during, before, and after the meeting, you can email diane.friendick@aas.org, and for $20, heavily discounted, the AAS, you can actually purchase 20 minutes of my time for a private, completely confidential career coaching session. We will discuss whatever it is that you have on your mind. I don't report back to AAS what we discuss. I never reveal it. I only tell them that we met because you paid for the session. So if you want to book that session or book a few of those sessions, you're welcome to do that. Email Diane about that. Connect with me on LinkedIn, Alaina G. Levine. Continue tweeting, Alaina G. Levine, AAS, @AAS_office, #AAS237. Let me know how I can help you in the future. Okay, guys? Thank you so much. This was a real privilege and a real honor to be with you. I want to thank you so much for sticking with me. I'm now going to stick around. We have a number of other questions that came up. This concludes the formal part of the webinar, and as you know, it was recorded, but I'm going to actually go back and now answer any additional questions that I can. Thank you all so much for your time and for your kind attention. I'm not going to wish you good luck, by the way, because you don't need it, but I will say enjoy your conference. Enjoy the AAS 237th meeting. All right. So we have a few questions, and why you asked about amateur astronomers, and as I actually, this was somebody also asked about this. So take a look at the recording, because I did talk a little bit about how you can network with other amateur astronomers, but also want to also share additional idea that you as an amateur astronomer are welcome, included. Your voice is welcomed and encouraged at this meeting. So I want you to take the opportunity to ask the questions, to reach out to people, non-amateurs, reach out to the professional astronomers, reach out to the students, ask what they're doing, ask what you're working on, build those collaborations. That is absolutely available to you, and there's a welcoming opportunity for it. I want to see what other questions we have. Again, I'm super old, so I have to take my glasses off. Somebody asked, S asked, is the idea of networking that you were always thinking about it? I am currently applying to graduate schools and not sure what specific field I want to go into, and what are the ways that I should be making connections that can be helpful to me? S, thank you for that fantastic question. I want to give you a resource and then a quick answer to that. First of all, I've done a number of webinars. They are all on the AAS website under careers about networking, where I talk about exactly what you just said, S, that networking is a spectrum, and it's something that we don't start when we need a job. It's something that we start way in advance, because as you just pointed out, you need more information, you need data, you need insight about the different fields. So right now, while you're exploring what you can do with your career as an astronomer and as an astronomy educated professional, this is the time to start those conversations with people. So take a look at those webinars, because I did give you a lot of really interesting ideas about that. I hope that's helpful. Somebody asked, R, you asked me a private question. I'm not going to answer this publicly, but R, if you email me, I will be happy to answer that question privately. So email me, alaina@alainalevine.com. So let me see what other questions we have. And I think that's all the questions that we have at the moment. So you all can continue to email me. And like I said, stay with me, connect with me on LinkedIn. And I said I'm going to be giving a lot of talks and workshops at the meeting. I'm going to be part of that career exploration event, where we're going to actually have multiple tables where you can rotate between different tables to talk to people who are doing different types of careers. I'll be talking about science communications. So please join me at the 237th meeting, virtual. It's going to be amazing, but it's really only going to be amazing because you're going to be participating. So I look forward to seeing you there. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day.